There comes a time in every man's life when he must stand up for what he believes in. With the world against him and no true believers on his side, he digs deep, knowing he must fight for what's right, regardless of the lack of support, and stand firm in the face of mounting opposition. Victorious or not, he will come out the other side filled with a pride few will ever know. A pride experienced only by the rare breed of man with the courage to look evil directly in the face and, not because he has no fear, but in spite of his fear, gain a paradoxical and unparalleled strength to proclaim, "I won't back down." When the dust settles, he's transformed into a warrior, a hero, a man of honor. For me, that day was filled with masturbating for money in Las Vegas. I'm Jake, and this is Jonathan Bale's Lucky Maverick. This will be part of a How to Win series in which I break down how I went about figuring out the optimal way to win a bet, beat a game, or solve a problem. It's an extension of my in-depth analysis in How to Win Games, which I'd suggest checking out if you haven't. Part of my theory on winning games, as I discuss in the Principles of Lucky Maverick, is that the same sorts of concepts tend to apply across all forms of games, and that if you can learn how to think about and win any game, you can learn to win every game. Most of life's problems can be turned into a version of a game, so learning to win games, in my opinion, is a recipe for finding success in just about any area you want. The importance of rules and the art of negotiation. In 2018, I booked a bet with my buddy Adam Levitan on something called the 6-12-18-24 challenge. If you're unaware, the bet involves assigning each of those numbers to one of 4 tasks, then completing all of them within 24 hours. Your missions? Eating donuts, drinking beers, running miles, and jacking off. The plan was to complete the challenge in Vegas before the official start of the Gambling Olympics. I wanted to post our actual chat log when booking the bet to show how we went about deciding on the rules. The rules, and hidden rules, are of incredible importance because winning any game boils down to working within the confines of that game to find edges that increase your win probability. All of the strategy and metagame are ultimately an effort to unearth EV by exploiting the rules better than your opponents. Knowing the rules, inside and out, truly, is so simple and yet so overlooked as an advantage by most. Note: skip to the 13:30-minute mark if you just want to listen to how I went about solving the 6-12-18-24 challenge. Or just skip right to closing this browser window if you have any sort of dignity. Jonathan Bales. What odds are you guys giving me on the 6-12-18-24? You said 10 to 1, Levy? I think that's fair. Adam Levitan. I said nothing. Let's nail down the official rules. All your miles have to be under 10 minutes and outside? Bales. I mean, whatever you want. That's clearly way harder and a potential problem, though. 10 minutes is actually hard to do for possibly 12 miles. I mean, it's almost a half marathon. Levitan. Oh, I assumed you were running 6. Bales. I don't know if I can jerk off 12 times after some practice. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to, but I'm running out of steam on these jerk-offs. Levitan. If you're running outside and averaging a 10-minute mile while running them consecutively, I can give you 6 to 1, but I'm not going to give you a lot of action on it. Can't let you beat me for like 30k. Bales. Consecutive? That's way different. Don't think I can do that at all. I assumed I could take a break after each mile. Peter Jennings. I'm on Bale's side. Levitan. Oh, well then I don't see why you couldn't do it. You're in way better shape than the dude who came on the pod and did it, and you drink every day. Donuts are easy. Just gotta get the jerks done, and you'll have Friedman to help you there. Bales. I don't drink every day for the last time, Levy. Levitan. Bales. If you think 18 to 24 beers/donuts is easy, then I don't know. And either miles or jerk-offs are both going to be hard AF too. I think I'm equipped to do it more than the average person, but I think I'm likely to fail, honestly. Levitan. I mean, if you take 20 minutes off between each mile, it'll be easy. Bales. Even if you remove that, there's some decent chance I can't physically do 12 jerk-offs. Levitan. For sure. Bales. So you'd do 6 to 1 if I ran straight, no stops at all. Like, if I fail, then I just start back at 0 miles? Trying to think of how much easier it is to stop and what that equates to in a line if 6 to 1 is fair for that. Levitan. You'd have to average a 10-minute mile for the whole thing, so if you do 6 miles, you have 60 minutes total from start to finish.
Fails.
There's almost 0% chance I can complete 6 miles right now. I've literally never run 2 miles.
Levitan.
Yeah, well, if the running isn't hard, I don't see how you fail, really. Unless your dick fails you.
Fails.
He's good for 6, easy. He starts to get ornery at 7. I don't know how you think 18/24 beers or donuts is just a given. That's so hard. And in conjunction with running and jacking off, I will take 5-1, my 1,000, if I can stop once running.
Levitan.
If you do the total distance across total time, you can stop as many times as you want.
Fails.
Need a break. Can't do 6 miles in 60 minutes. We'll do 2 segments of 3 in 30. It is fucking Vegas in summer, man. It is going to be literally 120.
Levitan.
I can give you 3.5-1 on that, but I'm not happy about it and only doing it for the hashtag content.
Fails.
Like, it might not even be safe.
Levitan.
Don't be a pussy. Death is one of the outcomes, yes.
Fails.
I'd do 6-1 on 1 hour before 3.5 with a break. Outside is just bananas. I won't be able to breathe.
Levitan.
The only way I'll win is if you fail at the running. So yes, I'd be rooting for, quote, unable to breathe.
Fails.
https://blogs.scientificamerican.com/guestblog/too hot to handle the dangers of running in the heat. I'll die for content. It's fine.
Levitan.
Yeah, I felt like this in the 3rd set of the frying pan match. You're so hot you get the chills.
Fails.
That was fucking Denver.
Levitan.
Yep, it was like 90, but I know. Vegas is asking for death. That's how I want to win.
Fails.
I will do 6-1, 6 miles in 66 minutes.
Levitan.
Outside?
Fails.
Yeah, and I honestly think this is going to be a disaster because I can barely finish 1 mile in under 10. Ran the other day.
Levitan.
Do you have to run during the day?
Fails.
What time range is acceptable? Clearly I'm running at night if I can.
Levitan.
Ugh, I don't know, man. I don't want to bet against you in physical activities. Nighttime temps in July in Vegas average 79 degrees. Nice running weather.
Fails.
The last mile bet I had, I ran a half mile. This isn't lifting.
Levitan.
We won't be able to film your death if you do it at night.
Fails.
I will do it when it is light out. I don't know how I'm going to set it up exactly. Need to think about it and what is best in terms of when I start, when I'm trying to run, etc. My lean was I'd drink and eat at night, sleep, drink maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, and then run. I can't wait too long strategically, or else I have to run after eating and drinking too much. There's just no way.
Levitan.
Are you allowed to get more action? Like, if you can win 5 Bitcoin instead of 2 or 3 Bitcoin, you'll obviously train harder.
Fails.
I'm gonna try, obviously. I'd be fine reducing our odds if I get more, though. Like, each 10k to win interval, I go down a point or something. I will do whatever you want on that because you are right. I will actually try if I get a bunch of action. I just doubt I will.
Levitan.
Okay, I've wasted enough of this day. Let me think about it.
Fails.
Come on, give me something. Have to get this booked.
Levitan.
Friedman verification on jerks?
Fails.
I mean, obviously.
Levitan.
No live women in the room, obviously, even for fluffing.
Fails.
For that, I will have a room that is inspected before and I will produce sample each time. Yeah, no women or men.
Levitan.
No cam girls either. No human interaction.
Fails.
I can watch porn, right?
Levitan.
Right.
Fails.
Donuts will be standard glazed.
Levitan.
Frosting?
Fails.
Krispy Kreme glazed I thought was standard.
Levitan.
Beers minimum 5% alcohol by volume?
Fails.
No way. Standard Miller Lite, Bud Light, whatever. Those are just under 5, aren't they?
Levitan.
Coors Light is like water. Think it's 4?
Fails.
The other 2 main ones are 4.2. Normal cans of light beer.
Levitan.
No funnels?
Fails.
8-ounce beer?
Levitan.
No shotgunning.
Fails.
No funnels. Drink from can.
Levitan.
8 ounces? You mean 12 ounces?
Fails.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever, like, a normal looking can is. Yeah, 12. Looked it up. 6 miles in 66 minutes, has to be during the day, unlimited breaks, 12-ounce light beers, Krispy Kreme glazed donuts, produce semen 12 times. Only other contingency I can think of is vomit.
Levitan.
Okay, I'll give you 5-1 given the 66 minutes, but you have to run between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. If you sell more than 10K worth of additional potential winnings, that goes to 2.5 to 1. Yeah, I think vomiting is tough because once you puke, you can drink so much more beer.
Fails.
Right. Clearly, purposely vomiting is out. I see a very high chance of puking while running, though, and that would stink if I was DQ'd on that. Like, what if it's just a tiny little vomit?
Levitan.
Are you going to drink any beers at all before running?
Fails.
Since I am running in the morning, presumably, I would like a contingency that I can vomit while running or up to 15 minutes after, but no other time during the competition. I'd also like to be able to purposely puke at the end once it is clear I finished and I'm not involuntarily vomiting.
Levitan. Fails.
And I don't know on the beers, but it would be like 1 or 2 and maybe 1 donut before at max. I don't know though. Might just do nothing and run it right away.
Levitan.
You're going to take the full 24 hours, right? So there are 2 mornings, presumably.
Fails.
There will be just 1 if I start at night, which I think I will.
Levitan.
Yeah, so you're going to jerk, drink, eat, go to sleep, wake up and run, and then finish. God, this is so easy if you can do the run. We're basically betting on the run, that's it.
Fails.
Can you jack off 12 times in a day? No. Eat 18 donuts and drink 24 beers or vice versa? No.
Levitan.
I can do 6 in a day. I can easily do donuts.
Fails.
I need to do 12 though.
Levitan.
I can't drink the beer, but you definitely can. Nah, 6 jerks before sleep, 6 jerks across the next day. Easy.
Fails.
6 jerks before sleep? Come on.
Levitan.
1 an hour for 6 hours? Then sleep for 6 hours.
Fails.
A good portion of jerks are going to have to come after drinking. Gonna be a real issue. 6 to 1, and I cannot drop to 2.5 to 1 because that pretty much means I can't even get other action. Oh, I see. I could get 9K more? 6 to 1 and 3 to 1 on that, and it is booked.
Levitan.
Not giving 6 to 1. It's too easy. We'll give 5 to 1 for the content, but I still think it's a bad bet.
Fails.
5 to 1 and 68 minutes.
Levitan.
Can't do it. Failing the run is my only shot.
Fails.
And I want to clarify, the vomiting proposal is fine. 5 to 1 then, and that's it. 66 minutes.
Levitan.
So you're saying you can vomit during the run, but you can't vomit up a bunch of beer and donuts?
Fails.
Yes, that is correct. I don't want to be disqualified running in the heat and puking, but the spirit isn't to be able to puke up a bunch of beers and donuts. I do want to be able to puke once I finish, however. Why don't we do 2 beer and 2 donut max pre-running? Although I almost certainly won't be eating 2 donuts for sure.
Levitan.
Okay, that's fine. 2 beers and 2 donut max within 2 hours of the run. Then you can puke, but if you do complete the run, you can't puke again the rest of the day.
Fails.
6 miles in 66 minutes, unlimited breaks, and able to puke up no more than 2 donuts and 2 beers from within 2-hour window if I do happen to vomit during the run or within 15 minutes of it. Otherwise, no vomit until last task completed. 12 jack-offs that are produced in a semen-free room. 18 or 24 beers or donuts. 12-ounce light beers and standard glazed Krispy Kreme donuts. 5 to 1 on 1K. And goes to 3 to 1 if I get more than 10K of additional to-win action.
Levitan.
Ugh, fine. It's booked, just for the lulz.
Fails.
Booked. And that, my friends, is the art of negotiation. If you want to read real advice on negotiating, I highly recommend Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. What's interesting about this, beside Levitan's completely serious mentions of a, quote, semen-free room, is that both he and I know the importance of finding edges, so haggling over seemingly minor details in the rules was quite critical for both of us. Each rule change in my favor might increase my win probability just a few percentage points, but unlocking those edges multiple times and over a continual basis is the difference between long-term winners and losers. When negotiating anything, identify areas that are more important than the other party realizes, what you want to get, and those that are less vital than they understand, what you want to give up. When it comes to salary negotiations, for example, most people value guarantees, so you can typically trade in steady income for future upside. Perhaps you can work for $10,000 less, but add in a $30,000 bonus if you meet certain criteria, such as a specific sales threshold. This is no risk to the company, since you'd presumably be generating more than $30,000 in revenue for them in such a deal, but increases the EV of your contract, assuming you have a greater than 33% chance of reaching the bonus. You can calculate the EV in this example to determine what the contract is worth to you. If you believe you actually have a 75% chance to reach the bonus, the EV would be base salary minus 10,000 plus 30,000 times 0.75, which equals base salary plus 12,500. Trading in a sure thing for properly calculated upside and downside is one of the easiest ways to unlock expected value, and in this case, if you're willing to take on the risk, you'd make an additional 12,500 per year on average. Also look for things that are more important to one side or the other. Comparing apples to apples isn't really a great way to unlock EV without an information asymmetry, and continually operating in an effort to produce one-sided contracts is not only unethical, it's also stupid long-term, and becoming more difficult by the day. I like this recent tweet thread from Taylor Cabey about the importance of negotiation integrity. An extremely underrated skill in business is counterparties believing they can rely on you to come to a fair solution. It's a magnet for finding good people and good deals. Operating this way is standard practice for those who have had extreme success in the gambling world, where contracts are either unenforceable or rarely used, so perceived integrity and fairness are incredibly important. Sadly, not the same in business, but this is changing. Those with talent have more leverage than ever. Relying on one-sided contracts, information asymmetry, etc. to gain advantage gets more difficult every day, making this skill more important as time goes on. All of this bodes well for talented people and creators in particular, inside and outside of gambling. It's exciting to see. The best way to still win a negotiation is by finding the areas more important to one side or the other, then trade a higher quantity of things you deem of little importance for just one very important thing to you, making it appear as though you're giving up more when the overall value is in your favor. How I planned for the bet. As I discussed in How to Win Games, one highly effective tactic I've found to aid in deciding upon an approach to gameplay is to start at the end as if you've already won. From that post, one way to get started on the right track is to work backwards. If you're going to win a specific game, what sorts of things need to happen? What does the path to success look like? If you put a little thought into possible endgames, you can sometimes reverse engineer a formidable plan of attack by working within the rules to eliminate potential scenarios that don't lead to favorable outcomes for you. This is one strategy employed by chess prodigy Josh Waitzkin, the subject of the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, that he discussed in his book The Art of Learning, which I highly recommend. Whereas most chess players approach the game sequentially, learning their opening moves and then progressing into the mid-game, Waitzkin learned how to maximize his odds of winning by starting with endgame scenarios, often with just 3 pieces left on the board. In doing this, he was able to work backwards from success to cultivate more apt early and mid-games. The biggest strides I made in DFS were when I stopped asking, how can I score as many points as possible? And instead asked, how can I win with the fewest possible points? And then I reverse engineered how to accomplish the latter by removing scenarios, and lineups, in which I might be likely to score a lot of points, but because of the construction of the lineup, not very likely to win. As it relates to this bet, rather than trying to formulate a game plan from start to finish, which is how so many go about solving problems, I tried to think about the ways in which I might lose, then do what I could to eliminate those scenarios or reduce their likelihood of occurrence. One way I could lose was, of course, to vomit during a period not designated for puking. I have a very strong stomach, so this was the least concerning issue for me. Nonetheless, I've also never drank so much beer and eaten so many donuts, let alone combined them, so I wanted to pace myself early so I could gauge my body's reaction and adjust. I also chose to go with 24 beers and 18 donuts rather than the inverse, because I figured I can quickly chug a bunch of beers at the 23-hour mark if needed, whereas if I'm feeling sick, being forced to eat a lot of donuts could be disastrous. I chose Miller Lite as my beer since it has the lowest alcohol content of any of the main light beers, which I was hoping might aid in another area which I could fail: masturbating to completion into a napkin 12 times and having it confirmed by a grown man in a hazmat suit. You see this shit? That's a lot of pressure for anyone, let alone someone expected to get drunk. In addition to low alcohol beer, I figured a graduated approach to supplementary material for the jackoffs might be optimal, working as long as possible with just my mind before moving to photos, normal videos, and then the hardcore stuff I will take to my grave. Okay, so we have 24 beers, 18 donuts, 12 jackoffs and 6 miles, with an initial plan to just start furiously masturbating with a sort of tiered approach while pacing my food and beverage consumption. Then we had the miles, outdoor in Vegas during the day in summer. There was really no way around this one. I had to train like crazy. I could barely finish a mile when I started, and by the end, just a few weeks later, I was at something like a 7:20 pace for 4 miles. I never actually ran 6 straight miles while training. It's very hard and boring. My plan was never to pace this out. I wanted to just not completely burn out, but get off to such a good start in the first 3 to 4 miles that I could really coast after that. That was really for mental reasons. Another really big problem, though, was the heat. If you look up the difference in running times based on temperature, extreme heat is a disaster. One way I tried to compensate for this was training in as much clothing as possible. I have these photos because I had another fitness prop bet with Levitan and Peter Jennings that involved working out X times per week, so we'd send each other sweaty photos of ourselves as proof, which is completely normal adult behavior in my opinion. I researched various neighborhoods in Vegas and noticed it's typically a few degrees colder and often has more cloud cover in certain areas by the mountains, so we drove 30 minutes to a track around there to complete the miles. And given that I had to run between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., there was really no choice but to start them as early as possible. Which I did, and it was still 105 degrees. I could have chosen to begin the entire bet at 9 a.m., but I figured it would make sense to break up the other tasks with some rest in between. Thus, I thought it made sense to start in the evening, get through as many of the other 3 tasks as possible, wake up, have a beer or donut or 2, run the miles, then come home to hang out with the boys and just chill, drink some brews, eat some donuts, and masturbate together. Wait, what? The results. Like I said, I ended up winning the bet. Although I tried to pace myself, I began with an unsustainable rate of beers and donuts, forcing them down because, quote, this seems easy, until the combination of alcohol, carbonation, and sugar made me violently ill with explosive diarrhea. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the large intestine. Things were looking bleak when my beer consumption began to affect my performance in other areas. When you're drinking that many beers and eating that many donuts in such a short span, I'm telling you, it's hard, man. Actually, it's the opposite of hard, which is the problem. Another issue I didn't envision was the mental challenge of masturbating feet away from a group of like 10 dudes. I was alone in my room, but it's a little difficult to climax when you hear Levitan's nasally laugh every 30 seconds. Masturbations 3 and 4 were some of the more challenging of my life, no doubt about it. So, I took a break to restore normal blood flow and reset my mind before roaring back with an astonishing string of masturbations. 11 in the first night, as a matter of fact. I was on such a roll here, I stayed up a lot later than I planned. Once my stomach settled, I was able to really hammer through the beers and donuts without even getting buzzed. I didn't stick to my plan because things were going so well. Luckily, our semen collector stayed up late and was able to hang out and verify some samples. I called him one time in the middle of the night to get out of bed and come look at my napkin, but otherwise he was right there by my side, figuratively speaking. The next morning, I crushed the 6-mile run. Again, there wasn't really any way to skirt around it. I had trained like crazy to be able to do this, and once I did, it was game over. We went back to the house, and with maybe 8 hours or so to go, I was feeling quite sick, but it was clear I was going to complete the challenge. I had just a few beers and donuts left, plus one celebratory jerk-off I was planning for the end. Levitan offered me a buyout as I was nearing the finish line, mainly because he wanted to go to a WNBA game and didn't want to be forced to stick around to watch this mayhem, and I took it, with the condition that I had to play him in racquetball for money the next day. In terms of pure EV, the buyout wasn't in my favor, since I'd say I had maybe a 99.5% chance to complete the challenge, and he bought out for like 90% or something. But it was worth it just in terms of not needing to force feed another Krispy Kreme down my throat while yanking it. The best part is I upset Levitan in racquetball, taking him for an additional 1,000. Final points. So what's the moral of all this? There's no moral. The whole thing was a shit show. I mean, think about it, really. But I'll say this. First, this bet was actually a fitness prop for me. I was trying to get in shape, and the reality is I trained like crazy and really improved my fitness. Even if the bet were slightly minus EV for me in terms of money, it would still be very valuable overall to help me get in shape. Prop bets with friends are a wonderful motivator. Second, if you want to win games, a good place to start is with the rules. Know the stated rules inside and out. Know their implications. Think about your edges working within the confines of the game. Consider the ramifications of the rules and gameplay and how they lead to hidden rules you can focus energy on to maximize win probability. Then, formulate a plan of attack by starting with success. Envision what it means for you to win and how you get there. Eliminate as many scenarios as possible that don't lead to that success. If you're an underdog in a game, for example, focus on removing all low variance outcomes in which your chances of winning are minimal. Don't start from the beginning, start at the end, assume you won, and move backwards. And lastly, this entire thing was actually just a long con to market PK Safety, the leader in hazmat suits, safety gloves, and other workwear. PK Safety, your worker safety specialists. To read the written version of this article and others like it, go to luckymaverick.substack.com. Thank you for listening.